Hey everybody. So today what I want to talk about are drills. I have three versions of the DEWALT drills. These are what they call hammer drills. Despite their name, they are not intended to be drilling into concrete. I have my very old DC925. I've had this one for about 7 or 8 years. I've replaced the chuck on it once. This has been a rock solid drill. Most days I feel like, no matter what I do with this thing, I can't break it. I've drilled literally thousands of holes in everything from wood to aluminum, mild steel, hardened steel, and this thing just keeps on trucking. This one here is the old style with the old post style battery pack. These here are the lithium ion batteries that you can get for the old style tools. I have a whole series of these tools, so I still have a lot of these batteries and a lot of these chargers laying around. I didn't want to abandon this entire system and convert over to the new 20 volt max series until I've had some good real world experience to see how these new drills stack up against the old stuff. The old stuff has been bulletproof. I have several of these drills, a couple of the old 18 volt impacts, the grinder, shop vac, a bunch of tools in this series, and it would be very costly to convert everything over to the Max series, especially if I'm not getting the same quality as I can out of this at a fraction of the cost, because this system has kind of been abandoned by DeWalt. So just to jump into it, I'll set this one aside. So this is the kind of higher end version of the 20 volt max series. This is the DCD791. This one is notable because of its metal chuck, or the metal collar on the chuck, and how you close it around drill bits. This drill feels solid. It doesn't have any wobble in it. It doesn't feel chintzy. I've had this one for about 6 or 7 months. And one thing that I would like to point out before I get too deep into this, I'm not sponsored or paid by anybody. I'm not going to do unboxing videos just because there's tons of people on YouTube that are getting paid by DeWalt and by advertisement companies and get these tools for free. And they give them a glowing review. Oh, it feels great in the hand, or look, it drills through wood. These are drills and tools that I've purchased with my own money. I use these every day for work, and they get a hot supper day in and day out. So I really put these things to the test. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. The weight in comparison to the old DC925, it's probably about half the weight. I don't have a scale with me to measure these exactly, but it is fairly comfortable to use every day. The ergonomics, I am kind of a fan of the DeWalt Ergonomics. Some of the other drill manufacturers, Makita and Milwaukee, and even Ryobi and some of the kind of weekend warrior brands, they have different ergonomics. So your best bet's probably go to Lowe's or Home Depot. Try them out, see what feels comfortable. I've used DeWalt for years, and whether it's the 18 volt series or the 20 volt series, I feel the ergonomics are virtually identical between all the different tools, irregardless of whether it's a drill or an impact or a grinder. It's just something that I like. I do like the batteries. They are lightweight. They are on par with the weight from the 18 volt nano phosphate batteries, which were kind of a limited run for the 18 volt series. And in fact, the 18 volt nano series are lighter than these 20 amps are. You can also get these battery packs in the extended 5 amp hour, I believe. I haven't had a need for them. I carry 2 or 3 of these batteries with me, and I have this drill and the impact. And they last me a couple days using them all day, every day, running screws in steel and wood, just general fabrication. Overall, it's a pretty quality system. I don't have any issues with it. One thing I do like about the DC791 over the DC780 is the built-in light down here. So it does have an LED and if your trigger lock is on, the LED won't work. And it has a full bright, a half bright, and a 20-minute setting. One thing I really like on the 20 volt series versus the 18 volt, which some of them don't have lights on them, the 18 volt impacts do. On the 18 volt impacts, the XRP series, they put the LED underneath the body here right above the trigger. And that's good for kind of seeing generally where you're putting something, but it's not in a very good place for illumination to see in dark places. One thing I do like about the 20 volt series is they put it down here right above the battery pack, so that the light shines directly at the end of your bit and you can see exactly what you're drilling. So that is one of my favorite features about this 20 volt Max series that I do like. I purchased this one after purchasing the DCD780, which is this one, and it's kind of distinguishable by the plastic collar here. This one I got about 2 months use out of. Pretty light, nothing heavy, and the clutch mechanism in here actually broke while I was using it one day, and I wasn't drilling through anything crazy. I was running a drill bit through some sheet metal, in fact, when it stripped out. So I took it back to Home Depot. They wanted me to send it out for repair, and they were going to charge me like 50 or 60 bucks to have this thing repaired, and I had only had it a couple months. After that, I kind of shied away from this one and went with the DCD791. This one is a much more robust model. Looking at pricing today, just on eBay or on Google, from Amazon and Lowe's, you can pick this up for around 150 bucks with the battery and charger. This one here you can pick up for about 129. So it's $30 more, but you get a much beefier upgrade. I would say that this DC791 is the kind of big brother to this one here. This one I was not pleased with at all, this DC780. Like I said, I really didn't get much use out of it. Nothing heavy duty, you know, drilling into concrete, just running sheet metal screws in all day. And it just didn't last very long. So I'm going to set that one out of the way. So overall, I'm pretty happy with them. I have no complaints. As what's to be expected from DEWALT, I know they've kind of gone downhill a little bit with their manufacturing mostly being done overseas. And they kind of trick you on the box. They say made in the U, or they say assembled in the USA. Most of the components are manufactured overseas, and then they're assembled here. So they'll get the motors, they'll get the batteries, they'll get the chuck assemblies, the clutch assembly, and they put it all together here, box it, and send it out to your local retail stores. These are the 20 volt Max series are the brushless series, where the old XRP series are the brushed. And the difference between them, the brushless spin much faster and generally draw less power than the brushed ones do. The nice part about the brushed ones, for anybody who's kind of old school, is you can put new brushes in it. These new ones, the brushless ones, if something happens with the motor, the windings become unusable or stripped out or overheated to the point that the coating comes off of them, you basically have to replace the whole motor. You can get replacement parts for all of the DEWALT line, just because they're all over the place. They're very popular with contractors. You can get replacement parts, but the cost of the motor assembly, for example, or the clutch assembly would almost exceed the cost of the drill. So it's kind of, if you break it, just go buy a new one, especially if you use this stuff every day or you use it in industry, any type of heavy use. So there's not a whole lot to say about them. I'm not going to do any kind of torque testing on these. I also have the impact series of the 18 volt and the 20 volt that I'm going to be reviewing in a different video. In those I may drive some screws into some stuff just to see that operate. But kind of where I stand, a drill is a drill. What's most important beyond seeing it run into some screws into a piece of wood is how long do they last, and what is your experience with it kind of 6 months or a year or 2 years down the road. Just because there's so many people doing shill vids, paid reviews on YouTube. They unbox it, you know, it feels great in the hand, look how light it is, it can run screws into wood, but nobody really goes over what these things look like or how they perform 6 months or 8 months or a year down the road, and see how they fare. So if you're going to get into the DEWALT series, or if you have a DEWALT line, I would recommend the DCD791 over any of the other ones, just because it feels better, and in my experience it's tougher. I've had no problems out of this drill whatsoever in the few months that I've had it, and it's gotten a lot of use. If you have any questions about any of these, or comments about anything you'd like to see, I'm going to be doing some more review videos here shortly, so I'll have them posted. Let me know below, and I will see if I can get a video made for you. Other than that, please rate, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.